To have a 9-foot healthy female shark eaten alive straight up set this scene of, it's a murder mystery.
On Christmas Eve, a 9-foot great white shark vanished from the face of the ocean. Scientists had attached a tracking device to her fin just 4 months earlier. When that device washed up on an Australian beach, the data inside told a terrifying story. Her body temperature spiked 32 degrees in seconds. She plunged 1,900 feet straight down. For 8 days, the tag sat in complete darkness inside a living stomach. When scientists recovered that device and analyzed the data, they realized the killer was something far more disturbing than a monster. The perfect specimen. The waters off Western Australia hold secrets that scientists are only beginning to understand. About 70 kilometers from the small coastal town of Bremer Bay lies one of the most remarkable underwater formations on the planet. The Bremer Canyon system consists of 81 separate canyons that slice through the continental shelf for over 700 kilometers. Some of these canyons plunge from shallow coastal waters all the way down to 5,000 meters. That is deeper than most mountains are tall. In September 2003, nature provided researchers with an unexpected gift. 9 pregnant sperm whales had beached themselves on a remote stretch of coastline. Scientists still debate why these intelligent creatures would swim directly onto land. Some believe they were fleeing something in the deep water. Whatever the reason, their massive bodies attracted predators from hundreds of kilometers away. Within days, researchers from CSIRO counted 13 great white sharks circling the whale carcasses. The sharks were feeding in water barely 6 meters deep. For scientists who normally have to venture far offshore and wait for days to encounter a single great white, this was an extraordinary situation. They could observe multiple apex predators at close range and attach tracking devices without the usual difficulties. The team identified a female shark that immediately caught their attention. She measured 3.2 meters in length and appeared to be in perfect health. Her skin showed no scars from territorial fights or failed hunting attempts. Her fins were intact and unmarked. In the harsh world of ocean predators, finding an animal in such pristine condition is rare. The researchers designated her as Shark Alpha and selected her for their satellite tagging program. The device they attached to her dorsal fin used the cutting edge of marine telemetry. Pop-up satellite archival tags function as complete data recording systems. Every 60 seconds, the tag measured the water temperature surrounding the shark with accuracy to 1/10 of a degree Celsius. It recorded depth readings precise to within 5 meters even at extreme pressures. It tracked ambient light levels to establish day and night patterns. All of this information was stored in onboard memory designed to survive years of saltwater exposure. The tag was programmed to release automatically after several months. A small pin made of corrodable metal would dissolve on a predetermined date, allowing the device to float to the surface. Once at the surface, the tag would transmit its entire data archive to the Argos satellite network at a frequency of 401.65 megahertz. Scientists could then download a complete record of everywhere the shark had traveled and everything it had experienced. For 120 days, Shark Alpha provided textbook data. She traveled over 4,000 kilometers along the Western Australian coastline. Her diving patterns matched expected behavior for a shark of her age and size. She spent her days in relatively shallow water hunting fish and marine mammals. At night, she would descend to greater depths before returning to the surface at dawn. The data was so routine that researchers began focusing their attention on other tagged animals. Then the transmission pattern changed. The regular satellite pings stopped arriving. The team assumed the tag had detached early or malfunctioned. They logged the anomaly and prepared to recover whatever data they could when the device eventually washed ashore. What they did not know was that Shark Alpha had encountered something in the darkness of the Australian deep. The tag would eventually tell her story, but the truth would take years to fully understand. The digital crime scene. The recovered tag looked wrong from the moment a researcher picked it up from the beach. The outer casing had a bleached, corroded appearance that suggested exposure to harsh chemicals. Normal wear from months in seawater does not produce this kind of damage. The plastic looked like it had been partially dissolved. More troubling was the location. Ocean currents typically carry floating objects far from their point of origin. Tags released in Western Australian waters have been recovered thousands of kilometers away. This device washed ashore just 4 kilometers from the exact spot where shark alpha was originally tagged. The mathematical probability of that occurring by chance is extremely low. When the research team connected the tag to their analysis equipment and began downloading the stored data, they encountered something unprecedented in their experience. The first 4 months of recordings showed normal shark behavior. Depth fluctuations corresponded to known hunting patterns. Temperature readings matched the expected range for Western Australian coastal waters. Light sensor data confirmed regular day and night cycles. Then came December 24, 2003. At precisely 4 in the morning, every sensor on the tag recorded simultaneous anomalies. The temperature did not increase gradually as it would if the shark had simply moved into warmer water. It jumped instantaneously from 8 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius. In Fahrenheit terms, the sensor went from 46 degrees to 78 degrees in a matter of seconds. The depth reading showed an equally violent change. The tag had been at moderate depth when it suddenly plunged to 580 meters. That is over 1,900 feet below the surface. The rate of descent indicated this was not a voluntary dive. The tag was being pulled downward with tremendous force. Most disturbing was the light sensor data. Great white sharks spend time at various depths throughout the day, but they always show some variation in light exposure as they move up and down through the water column. After the incident on December 24th, the light sensor recorded absolute darkness. Not dim light, not filtered sunlight. Complete and total absence of light for 8 consecutive days. The research team understood immediately what these readings meant. The tag had entered the digestive system of another animal. The temperature spike corresponded to the internal body heat of a large predator. The depth plunge indicated the predator had dragged whatever remained of shark alpha into deep water. The extended darkness confirmed the tag had spent over a week passing through a digestive tract. The bleaching and chemical damage to the tag casing now made sense. Stomach acid had been slowly dissolving the outer plastic layer for days before the tag was finally expelled. Scientists had documented cases of tagged fish being consumed by predators before, but nobody had ever recorded data from inside the stomach of whatever creature was capable of eating a 3-meter great white shark. The question that now consumed the research team was simple but terrifying. What animal in the ocean can swallow a shark that size? The usual suspect. The obvious answer was the killer whale. Orcas are the only ocean predators with a documented history of hunting and killing great white sharks. They possess the size, intelligence, and pack hunting capabilities to take down apex predators that no other marine animal would dare challenge. The evidence from South Africa alone would convince most people that orcas were responsible. 2 male killer whales known as port and starboard have systematically eliminated great white sharks from entire coastal regions. Between 2017 and 2023, researchers documented these 2 animals killing at least 8 great whites in South African waters. The attacks follow a consistent pattern that reveals sophisticated hunting intelligence. Port and starboard work as a coordinated team to isolate individual sharks. They use their powerful tail flukes to create water turbulence that disorients the prey. Once the shark is confused, one of the orcas will ram it from below or the side with enough force to flip it upside down. This flipping maneuver exploits a bizarre neurological vulnerability in sharks. When a shark is inverted, it enters a state called tonic immobility. The animal becomes completely paralyzed, unable to move or defend itself. Scientists believe this response may have evolved as a mating mechanism, but orcas have learned to weaponize it. With the shark immobilized and helpless, the orcas perform what can only be described as surgical extraction. They bite into the body cavity near the pectoral fins and remove the liver with remarkable precision. A great white shark liver can constitute up to 1/3 of the animal's total body weight. It is extraordinarily rich in lipids and represents a massive caloric prize for the orcas. Given all of this evidence, the orca seemed like the obvious culprit in the shark alpha case. Killer whales have the size to overpower a 3-meter shark. They have the hunting skills to execute a successful attack. They have the demonstrated willingness to target great whites as prey. But when scientists examined the actual data from the recovered tag, the orca hypothesis collapsed completely. Ruling out the suspect. The fatal flaw in the orca theory is body temperature. Killer whales are marine mammals with metabolic systems similar to humans. They maintain a core body temperature between 36 and 38 degrees Celsius, which translates to roughly 97 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The tag recovered from the Shark Alpha incident recorded an internal temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. That is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. If an orca had swallowed the tag, the temperature reading would have been at least 20 degrees higher. The recorded temperature is biologically impossible for a killer whale stomach. The behavioral evidence also contradicts orca involvement. Port and starboard and other shark-hunting orcas do not swallow their prey. They are selective feeders who extract specific organs and discard the rest of the carcass. Researchers have recovered great white bodies killed by orcas, and the pattern is consistent. The liver is removed with surgical precision while the rest of the animal is left intact. An orca would have no reason to swallow a tracking tag along with pounds of indigestible shark tissue. The diving profile creates additional problems for the orca hypothesis. The tag recorded a descent to 580 meters. While orcas are capable of deep dives, they are air-breathing mammals who must return to the surface regularly. The deepest confirmed orca dive reached approximately 300 meters. A dive to nearly 600 meters would push the absolute physiological limits of any killer whale. More importantly, the tag data shows no return to the surface for 8 days. An orca must breathe air. It cannot remain submerged for days at a time, regardless of depth. The extended period in darkness with no surface intervals is completely inconsistent with mammalian biology. Finally, there is the absence of fear response from other sharks in the area. When orcas arrive, great whites flee. This is one of the most consistent behavioral findings in shark research. If an orca had attacked Shark Alpha, other sharks in the region should have scattered immediately. The data from additional tagged sharks showed no such response. They continued their normal patterns as if nothing unusual had occurred. The killer whale theory fails on every point of evidence. Scientists had to look elsewhere for answers. Monsters of the deep. The location of the attack opened up more exotic possibilities. Bremer Canyon sits at the edge of the continental shelf where shallow coastal waters give way to the true deep ocean. This transition zone hosts some of the most mysterious creatures on Earth. Giant squid inhabit these waters. The largest confirmed specimens reach lengths of 13 meters with tentacles that can extend over 10 meters. Their eyes measure up to 30 centimeters in diameter, the largest in the animal kingdom. These animals have been known to battle sperm whales in the deep ocean, leaving scars on the whales that testify to violent encounters in lightless waters. The colossal squid grows even larger and more formidable. This species possesses rotating hooks on its tentacles in addition to the sucker pads found on giant squid. A colossal squid attacking from the darkness could theoretically grapple with a shark and drag it to great depth. The depth profile from shark alpha initially seemed to support a cephalopod attack. 580 meters is well within the hunting range of large, deep-water squid. The sudden violent descent could indicate a tentacle strike from below. But once again, temperature eliminates the suspect. Squid are invertebrates with no ability to regulate their internal body temperature. Their tissues remain at ambient water temperature regardless of their metabolic activity. At 580 meters depth in the waters off Western Australia, the temperature would be approximately 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. If a squid had consumed the tag, the temperature reading would have reflected cold, deep water, not the 26 degrees actually recorded. The megalodon hypothesis attracted enormous public attention, but deserves only brief scientific consideration. This prehistoric shark went extinct approximately 3.6 million years ago. Despite persistent popular mythology, there is zero physical evidence that any megalodon population survived into modern times. No teeth, no bite marks on whale carcasses, no reliable sightings, nothing. A creature that large could not hide from modern oceanographic surveys. Scientists were running out of suspects. The predator had to be large enough to consume a 3-meter shark. It had to be capable of diving to nearly 600 meters. It had to maintain elevated body temperature. And it had to be something that actually exists in modern oceans. The answer was hiding in plain sight: the wonderful net. The breakthrough came when researchers stopped looking for exotic predators and started examining the temperature data more carefully. 26 degrees Celsius is an unusual reading. It is far warmer than the surrounding ocean water, but significantly cooler than any mammal. What kind of animal maintains a stomach temperature of exactly 26 degrees? Great white sharks do. Most fish are ectothermic, meaning their body temperature matches the surrounding water. But great whites belong to a small group of sharks that have evolved a remarkable adaptation. They possess a structure called the rete mirabile, which translates from Latin as the wonderful net. This network of blood vessels acts as a heat exchanger. As blood flows from the swimming muscles toward the gills, it passes through the rete mirabile in close proximity to blood flowing in the opposite direction. Heat transfers from the outgoing warm blood to the incoming cold blood. Instead of losing metabolic heat to the environment, the shark recycles it internally. The result is regional endothermy. Great white sharks can maintain certain tissues at temperatures significantly above ambient water. Their swimming muscles run about 5 degrees warmer than the surrounding ocean. Their brain and eyes stay elevated to improve neurological function in cold water, and their stomach operates at elevated temperature to accelerate digestion. Scientific measurements of great white shark stomach temperature during digestion consistently fall between 22 and 27 degrees Celsius. The tag from Shark Alpha recorded 26 degrees. That is a perfect match for the digestive system of another great white shark. Suddenly, all of the evidence pointed to an uncomfortable conclusion. Shark Alpha had not been killed by a killer whale or a giant squid or a prehistoric monster. She had been consumed by a member of her own species. The super predator was just a bigger great white shark. The giant in the abyss. Shark-on-shark predation is more common than most people realize. In the unforgiving calculus of ocean survival, a smaller shark represents a significant source of protein and fat. Bull sharks eat other sharks. Tiger sharks eat other sharks. And great white sharks eat other sharks, including smaller great whites. The phenomenon begins before birth in some species. Sand tiger shark embryos develop functional teeth while still in the uterus. The largest embryo in each uterine horn will systematically kill and consume its siblings during gestation. By the time a sand tiger shark is born, it has already committed fratricide multiple times. Only one pup emerges from each side of the reproductive tract. In open water, the size differential determines everything. A larger shark can treat a smaller shark as prey with minimal risk of injury. The 3-meter length of shark alpha would make her a formidable predator by most standards. But against a shark of 5 or 6 meters, she would be hopelessly outmatched. The scientists who analyzed the tag data estimated that the attacking shark measured at least 5 meters in length. Some calculations suggested the predator may have exceeded 6 meters. At that size, a great white shark weighs over 2,000 kilograms. Its jaws can generate bite forces exceeding 18,000 newtons. A shark of that magnitude could disable and consume a 3-meter juvenile in a matter of minutes. Great whites of this size are rare but not unprecedented. A female known as Deep Blue has been photographed at an estimated 6 meters in length. Unverified reports describe individuals approaching 7 meters. At the extreme end, bite marks on whale carcasses in Australian waters suggest the existence of sharks reaching 8 meters. The attack on shark alpha probably followed the classic great white ambush pattern. The larger shark would have detected alpha from below, where her silhouette stood out against the lighter water above. The predator would have ascended rapidly, striking from the blind spot beneath and behind. The initial bite would have caused catastrophic damage. Everything after that was simply consumption. After learning what marine biologists uncovered, share your thoughts in the comments below. Does this discovery change how you see the true predators of the ocean?